and shackshop.us has you covered. Dive into hot sales on ladies' swimsuits, sleek, stylish, and perfect for pool or beach. Stay connected and on trend with smartwatches that track your every move. Explore the depths with underwater drones and reach new heights with our flying drones. Adventure starts here. Hurry, these deals won't last. Shop now at shackshop.us and make this season unforgettable. shackshop.us, where adventure meets style. Joshua Jackson opens up about James Van Der Beek's death, a friendship, a legacy, and a loss that still hurts. A month later, the grief is still fresh. Nearly a month after the death of beloved actor James Van Der Beek, longtime friend and former co-star Joshua Jackson has finally spoken publicly about the heartbreaking loss. During an emotional appearance on the morning program Today, Jackson reflected on the profound impact the tragedy has had on him, both as a fellow actor and as a father. While the two men first met decades ago on the set of the iconic television series Dawson's Creek, their relationship eventually grew into something much deeper than a typical Hollywood friendship. Jackson admitted that the passing of his friend is something he is still trying to process. "I think the enormity of that tragedy for his family hits me in a very different way than just as a colleague," Jackson said during the interview. "Processing it is ongoing." His words carried the weight of someone who has been quietly mourning a close friend, while also reflecting on the fragile nature of life, family, and legacy. The actor explained that becoming a parent himself has changed how he experiences loss. While losing a colleague is always difficult, seeing the situation through the lens of fatherhood makes the grief more complicated and emotional. For Jackson, Van Der Beek was not just the star of a beloved TV show. They were young actors growing up together in the spotlight, navigating the pressures of fame while forming a friendship that would last decades. The show that started it all. How Dawson's Creek shaped their lives. When Dawson's Creek premiered in 1998, few people predicted the enormous cultural impact the show would have on television. The coming-of-age drama followed a tight-knit group of teenagers growing up in the fictional coastal town of Cape Side, Massachusetts. At its center were the characters Dawson Leary and Pacey Witter, played by James Van Der Beek and Joshua Jackson. The show quickly became a defining series for a generation of viewers. Known for its emotional storytelling, thoughtful dialogue, and exploration of teenage relationships, it helped launch the careers of several actors who would later become household names. For Jackson and Van Der Beek, however, the experience was far more personal than simply landing roles on a popular show. They were young men, barely adults, learning how to navigate the entertainment industry while filming a demanding television schedule. Jackson has often described those years as both exciting and overwhelming. The cast members were thrust into fame almost overnight as the show became a massive hit on the WB network. Fans quickly became invested in the complicated friendships and romances of the characters, and the actors themselves suddenly found their lives under the microscope of public attention. Despite the pressures, Jackson says the experience created bonds that have lasted a lifetime. Looking back now, he says the memories of filming the show remain incredibly meaningful. "There's a lot of fondness when I think about that time," Jackson said during his interview. "We were all figuring out life together." For Jackson and Van Der Beek, those early years forged a friendship that continued long after the camera stopped rolling. From co-stars to lifelong friends. While Hollywood relationships often fade once a show ends, Jackson and Van Der Beek remained connected throughout their careers. Both actors went on to pursue a variety of projects after Dawson's Creek concluded in 2003. Van Der Beek appeared in numerous television series and films, demonstrating his versatility as an actor. Meanwhile, Jackson continued to build a strong career with leading roles in several acclaimed shows. Even as their careers took different paths, their shared history on Dawson's Creek created a lifelong bond. Jackson has said that the cast often looked back on those early days with gratitude. The show not only launched their careers, but also shaped their identities as performers. The friendship between Jackson and Van Der Beek was built on shared experiences few people could truly understand. They had navigated sudden fame, long filming schedules, media attention, the transition from teenage actors to adults in Hollywood. Because they experienced those challenges together, their connection remained strong. Jackson said that while fans often remember Van Der Beek primarily as Dawson Leary, his life and accomplishments went far beyond that iconic role. "He accomplished so much," Jackson said, reflecting on his friend's decades-long career. In April 2024, Van Der Beek shocked fans when he publicly revealed that he had been diagnosed with colorectal cancer. The announcement came through a heartfelt message shared with supporters and followers, where he explained that he wanted to be transparent about what he was facing. Rather than retreating from public life, Van Der Beek chose to use his platform to educate people about the disease. Colorectal cancer is one of the most common cancers in the United States, yet it often goes undetected until it reaches advanced stages. Van Der Beek spoke openly about the importance of early screening and paying attention to symptoms. He hoped that sharing his own experience might encourage others to seek medical advice sooner rather than later. Throughout his battle with the disease, the actor remained focused on his family and maintaining a sense of hope. Friends and colleagues frequently praised his strength and positivity during an incredibly difficult period. Despite undergoing treatments and facing the harsh realities of cancer, Van Der Beek continued to advocate for awareness. His openness helped shine a spotlight on the disease and the need for preventative healthcare. While Van Der Beek achieved widespread recognition as an actor, those who knew him best often said his most important role was that of father. He shared 6 children with his wife Kimberly. In interviews and social media posts over the years, Van Der Beek frequently spoke about how much his family meant to him. The couple built a life focused on parenting, faith, and spending time together away from Hollywood's constant spotlight. Van Der Beek often described fatherhood as the greatest responsibility and the greatest joy of his life. Friends say he was deeply involved in his choices' lives and prioritized family above all else. That is one reason his death has resonated so strongly with those who knew him. For Jackson, the reality of losing a friend who leaves behind 6 children makes the loss particularly painful. As a father himself, he said he cannot help but think about the impact on Van Der Beek's family. It hits differently, admitted Jackson. In the months following his diagnosis, Van Der Beek continued speaking publicly about colorectal cancer. He encouraged people to pay attention to warning signs such as persistent abdominal pain, changes in bowel habits, blood and stool, unexplained weight loss. Many fans praised him for turning a deeply personal health battle into an opportunity to help others. His willingness to talk openly about the disease inspired many people to schedule screenings and take their health seriously. Even as his condition worsened, Van Der Beek remained committed to spreading awareness. Friends say that helping others became a source of purpose during the most difficult period of his life. On February 11th, the entertainment world was stunned by the news that James Van Der Beek had died from complications related to colorectal cancer. He was only 48 years old. Tributes quickly poured in from actors, filmmakers, and fans around the world. Many remembered him not only for his acting talent, but also for his kindness and authenticity. For millions of viewers who grew up watching Dawson's Creek, the news felt deeply personal. The show had been a major part of late 1990s and early 2000s pop culture. For Jackson, however, the loss was not about nostalgia. It was about losing someone who had been part of his life for decades. Joshua Jackson reflects on loss. During his appearance on Today, Jackson spoke candidly about the emotional complexity of losing a friend who shared so many formative experiences. He acknowledged that grief is not something that disappears quickly. Instead, it evolves over time. Jackson explained that when someone dies unexpectedly or far too young, it forces people to reflect on life in a deeper way. For him, the tragedy feels particularly heavy because of the family Van Der Beek leaves behind. Being a parent himself has changed the way he views the situation. He said that thinking about the children who lost their father makes the loss even more heartbreaking. The actor admitted he is still processing the news, and likely will be for some time. The legacy of James Van Der Beek, more than a TV star. Although many fans remember Van Der Beek primarily for Dawson's Creek, his career extended far beyond the show. Over the years, he appeared in television dramas, comedy series, films, reality competitions. He demonstrated a willingness to take creative risks and explore different kinds of roles. Colleagues often described him as thoughtful, professional, and passionate about his craft. But perhaps his most lasting legacy will be the way he used his final months to advocate for cancer awareness. By sharing his story, he helped bring attention to a disease that affects hundreds of thousands of people every year. Remembering the man behind the character. For fans who grew up watching Dawson Leary on television screens, Van Der Beek represented a generation of storytelling about youth, friendship, and growing up. But for those who knew him personally, he was much more than a television character. He was a husband, a father, and a friend. Joshua Jackson's words on Today captured the complicated emotions many people feel when someone dies too soon. There is sadness for what was lost, gratitude for the memories that remain, and admiration for the life that was lived. A loss that will take time to process. Jackson made it clear during his interview that grief does not have a timeline. While fans and colleagues have spent weeks sharing tributes and memories, those closest to Van Der Beek are still navigating the reality of life without him. Jackson says that remembering their early days working together brings both joy and sadness. Joy for the experiences they shared, sadness for the fact that those memories now belong to the past. Looking back with gratitude. Despite the heartbreak, Jackson emphasized that he prefers to remember Van Der Beek through the lens of gratitude. They were young actors who had the rare opportunity to build a career on a show that became part of television history. And they were friends who remained connected long after the spotlight moved on. Jackson says those memories are something he will always cherish. The impact on fans. For audiences around the world, the death of James Van Der Beek has prompted a wave of nostalgia. Many viewers have returned to Dawson's Creek to revisit the series that helped define an era of television. Streaming platforms have reported increased interest in the show since the news of his passing. For fans who grew up with the series, watching those episodes again is a way to celebrate the legacy of the actor who brought Dawson Larry to life. Moving forward. While the grief surrounding Van Der Beek's death remains heavy, his story has also inspired many people to take their health more seriously. Doctors and advocacy groups have emphasized that early detection of colorectal cancer dramatically increases survival rates. Van Der Beek's decision to speak openly about his diagnosis may ultimately help save lives. Final thoughts. Joshua Jackson's tribute to his former co-star was just how deeply the loss of James Van Der Beek has affected those who knew him best. What began as a professional relationship between two young actors grew into a lasting friendship that spanned decades. Now, Jackson and countless others are left remembering a man who left a powerful mark on television, and even greater impact on the people closest to him. Van Der Beek's life may have ended far too soon, but his influence as an actor, advocate, husband, and father will not be forgotten.